Let's be honest, planning a trip often feels like taking on a second job. From looking for cheap flights to not knowing where to go or knowing exactly where to go but flights costing a kidney. We have all been there. Finalizing a destination, setting a budget, figuring out what to carry, when to go, how to get a visa, it's a lot. Travel planning can feel overwhelming. But after traveling to over 25 countries in past 5 years, I've perfected the art of trip planning. One that saves time, money, and ensures I don't miss a single detail. Hi, I'm Bhumi, a traveler based in Europe, and this is going to be your travel Bible. I'm here to walk you through my tried and tested 8-step trip planning process. This video is a quick overview of all the 8 steps, but if you want to dive deep into each one, I've linked separate videos for each step below. Throughout this video, I'll be sharing some game-changing travel resources that you probably haven't come across before. All the links are in the description below. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Step 1. Choosing a destination and setting a budget. When it comes to planning a trip, the very first thing you need to figure out is where you're actually going and how much can you spend. It sounds obvious, but this step is often where most people get stuck. So let's break it down in the simplest way. I always begin with one question. How many days do I have? Because the number of days you have off work will pretty much decide the entire structure of your trip. If you've got just 4 to 5 days, stick to one city, somewhere like Vienna, Paris, or Budapest. These cities are compact, packed with culture, and don't require you to spend hours in transit. If you have about 8 to 10 days, you can explore an entire region, maybe road trip across Tuscany, combine Prague and Vienna, or go from Barcelona to Madrid. And if you are lucky enough to have more than 10 days off, that's when you can start thinking big, like Spain and Portugal, a Balkans loop, or even a multi-country tour through Central Europe. Once you have figured out your days, the next thing is to ask yourself, what kind of trip am I actually craving? Do you want to relax on a beach, sip cocktails, and watch sunsets? Or hike through the Alps, explore historical towns, or go wine tasting in the countryside? Because trust me, nothing feels more off than landing in a party city when your soul wanted peace and pine trees. Matching your mood to the destination is what turns a good trip into a great one. The third piece of this puzzle is timing. What's the weather like in the place you're considering? Is it off season or peak tourist time? I've made the mistake of visiting Croatia in March. It was peaceful and cheap, but a lot of places were still shut for winter and the beaches were freezing. You should also check local holidays or festivals. I once had just one day in a small town and it happened to be a Sunday. Everything from shops to restaurants was shut. I spent the day just roaming empty streets, hungry and confused. So before locking in anything, Google the best time to visit, look up events and public holidays, and make sure the place is awake when you're planning to go. Now let's talk budget. This is where many people get overwhelmed, but honestly, it doesn't have to be scary. Start by asking, how much can I spend on this trip without feeling broke when I get back? That gives you your top limit. From there, I usually divide my total budget like this. Around 25 to 30% goes to flights, 30 to 35% to accommodation, 15 to 20% to activities and entry tickets, 10 to 15% to food and drinks, and the rest for local transport, shopping, and a little buffer. And please always keep 10 to 15% buffer. That could be the cab you didn't plan for or that little souvenir market you couldn't resist. Also, research the cost of living. A trip to Paris is naturally going to cost more than a trip to Georgia or Albania. I've literally felt like a queen in Bali on Euro 30 a day and like a budget backpacker in Switzerland after just one meal. Tools like Numbeo or Budget Your Trip can give you a good idea of daily costs in different countries. And finally, if your dates are flexible, try to travel during the shoulder season. I once saved 300 euros just by shifting my trip a week earlier from mid-July to late June. Same destination, fewer crowds, and more money for gelato. Win-win. So before you jump into booking anything, take a moment to map this out. Time, vibe, season, and spend. It all starts here. Step 2. Let's talk about a part of travel planning that isn't exactly fun but is absolutely crucial: visas and documents. The visa process can take anywhere between 15 to 45 days depending on the country you are applying to, the embassy's workload, and the season. And if you're applying to US visa, that's a whole different ball game. It can take up to a year just to get an appointment. So this is one area where early planning can save your entire trip. A small delay here can derail everything. I've seen it happen too closely. Just last month, my parents were planning to visit us in Germany. They kept pushing the visa application thinking, oh, we'll get it in a month. And when they finally sat down to apply, there were no appointments for the next 3 months. Everything else, tickets, planning, mood, went out the window. So if you take one thing from this video, let it be this: apply in advance, way in advance. Next, make sure you apply to the right embassy. In Europe, for example, if you're visiting multiple Schengen countries, your visa should be processed by the country where you'll spend the most number of days. If your stay is split equally, then apply to the country of your first entry. This matters. Applying to the wrong embassy could get your application delayed or even rejected. Once you know where to apply, start gathering the right documents. At the very least, you'll need a passport valid for at least 6 months with 4 empty pages, travel insurance that meets embassy requirements, financial documents like bank statements or salary slips, a cover letter explaining your trip, your accommodation bookings, flight details, and a rough itinerary. Some countries might ask for additional things like an employer letter or proof of ties to your home country. So always check the checklist on the embassy website. If the idea of applying on your own feels too much, you can always go through trusted platforms like iVisa. I've added the link in the description if you want to explore that. Just make sure whoever you go through is legit. Also, scan and back up everything. Keep both digital and physical copies of your documents. I usually create a separate travel folder on my phone and cloud. Trust me, it's a lifesaver. This step might feel tedious, but once your visa is approved, everything else starts to fall in place. So take the time, do it right, and your future self will thank you. Let's move to step 3. Plan your itinerary. But don't worry, I'm not talking about a detailed hour by hour plan yet. At this stage, we are just figuring out city clusters, basically which cities or regions you want to include in your trip. To begin with, ask yourself a few basic questions. How many days do you really have for the trip, excluding travel days? What's your travel style? Do you like it chill and relaxed, or do you want to pack it as much as possible? Or are you flying between places, taking trains, or doing a road trip? And are you entering and exiting from the same city, or flying into one place and out of another? Answering these questions will help you sketch a practical route. Now, when it comes to how many days to spend in each city, here's a general guide. Capital or major cities, 3 to 4 days. Mid-sized cultural cities, 2 to 3 days. Small towns, usually 1 day is enough. Islands or nature-focused places, 2 to 3 days really to soak it all in. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have 7 days in Austria. You could do 2 days in Vienna, 2 days in Innsbruck, 2 days in Salzburg, and 1 day in Hallstatt. That gives you 4 clusters and a clean idea of where you'll be and when. Once this part is clear, everything else becomes much easier. You can also use the anchor city method, which means you stay in one city for 3 to 4 nights and take day trips to nearby places. For example, stay in Salzburg and do day trips to Hallstatt and Innsbruck. This method is especially helpful if you're traveling with kids, have heavy luggage, or just want a slower pace. Now, where can you research and finalize these city clusters? Start with Google Maps. Play around with distances and connections. Check Rome to Rio to see how to get from one place to another. Dive into travel blogs, search for reels on Instagram, or even check out activity platforms like Get Your Guide to see what cities have to offer. These are all super helpful. All the links are in the description below. And if this part feels overwhelming, you can always reach out to me. I offer custom itineraries, and if you're coming from this video, you get a special discount rate of INR 5,000 for any number of days for solo trips, couples, families, all of it included. So remember, this step doesn't need to be perfect on day one. but having a rough plan of where you're going and how long you'll be makes all the difference. Let's move on to step 4. Organize your itinerary day by day. Now that your city clusters are sorted, it's time to build a balanced daily plan that makes the most of your time without leaving you exhausted. Start by grouping attractions by location. I always use Google Maps for this. Just type in the city, click on attractions, and start saving places into a collection. Once everything's pinned, you'll start seeing clusters of things that are close to each other. That's your cue to group those into the same day. For example, when we visited Prague, we split our itinerary based on the river. Day 1 was all about the East Bank, Old Town Square, Astronomical Clock, Jewish Quarter. Day 2 was the West Bank, Prague Castle, Lenin Wall, and Petrin Hill. This way, we weren't zigzagging all over the city. Then comes the rule of 3. One big activity, one medium, and one light. So, if you're in Paris, that could be big, Eiffel Tower, medium, Montparnasse Tower, light, sunset boat ride on the Seine, or a picnic in the park. It keeps the day fun but not overwhelming. And make sure to leave wiggle room for meals, rest, or D-days. Also, double check the opening hours. Many museums are closed on Mondays, and not knowing that can throw your plan off. I once saved the Louvre for Monday, and yup, it was shut. Since then, I always verify schedules for the major spots first. To stay organized, I use the Notes app on my phone to list daily plans, ticket links, and rough time estimates. But you can also use tools like Google Sheets, Wonderlog, Tripped, or even Road Trippers. And don't overplan your travel days. If you're switching cities, just keep that day light. Check in, explore the area, maybe grab a nice dinner. That's it. A good itinerary doesn't mean squeezing in everything. It means smart planning that leaves room to breathe. That's how you make your space for surprise moments, and trust me, those are usually the best part of any trip. There's so much more I want to explain, so head to the full video of step 4 to dive deeper. Now, step 5. Booking flights and accommodation. This is the step where your trip starts feeling real. Once the flights and hotels are booked, your dates are logged in, and the rest of the planning naturally falls into place. Let's begin with flights, both international and internal. For international routes, the sweet spot for booking is usually 2 to 3 months in advance, especially if you're traveling in peak seasons like summer or December. I usually start my search on Google Flights or Skyscanner to get a general idea of the prices and then compare those to platforms like Kiwi.com. If you're flexible, set price alerts on Skyscanner or Kayak. They notify you when the fares drop. One travel hack I swear by is using incognito mode when searching for flights. It's a small step, but it can prevent dynamic pricing from creeping up after repeated searches. For travel within the country or nearby countries, budget carriers can save you big money. In Europe, Ryanair, Wizz Air, and EasyJet often have crazy cheap deals. Just book early and triple check their baggage policy. And if flying isn't your style, you can look into FlixBus for budget-friendly intercity travel or book trains using platforms like Omeo, EURail, or One2Go Asia, depending on your destination. Once travel is sorted, it's time to look at accommodation. And this step can really shape your experience. The best approach? Open Google Maps, type in a few top attractions of the city you're visiting, and note where they cluster. Booking a stay in or near that area usually saves you time and transport costs. Alternatively, staying slightly outside the center but near to metro or bus stop can offer a more peaceful vibe without sacrificing convenience. Also, safety is key, especially for a solo female traveler. Stick to well-lit, well-reviewed neighborhoods. Always read the reviews. Red flags like sketchy area, noisy at night, or weird host are not to be ignored. As for types of stays, it really depends on your vibe. Go for hotels if you want comfort and amenities. Search on booking.com or Agora. Hostels are great for solo travelers or budget trips. Check on Hostel World. Choose Airbnbs for long stays or if you want to cook your own meals. For families or larger groups, apartments on VRBO or Plum Guide work best. And if you love local charm, look into guest houses or B&B. I often find hidden gems on booking.com. Booking early is crucial for cities like Paris, Rome, or Amsterdam, especially during the holidays or long weekends. And don't just rely on one site. Compare prices across platforms and sometimes even reach out to the property directly. They might offer a discount or a better room. One last tip, use credit or debit cards that give you cashback or reward points. And if you're okay with staying a bit outside the city center, you can often score bigger, better places for same price. So yes, this step is a big milestone. Once your flights and stay are confirmed, your trip officially has a shape. Step 6. Book experiences and activities. This step makes a big difference, especially if you hate standing in long queues or worse, missing out on limited entry attractions. Trust me, nothing stings more than reaching a city and realizing that the one thing you really wanted to do is sold out. Here's how I recommend starting. Kick off your trip with a free walking tour. I always use Guru Walk to book one on the first day or second. It's a great way to understand the city's history, layout, and culture, and most of them cover all the major landmarks. Plus, the local guides often share hidden gems or food recommendations that don't show up in guidebooks. Next, figure out which experiences or attractions actually require advance booking. The easiest way? Cross check your itinerary with platforms like Get Your Guide, Viator, or Tickets. Popular spots like the Vatican Museum in Rome, Eiffel Tower in Paris, or Alhambra in Granada often get booked weeks or even months in advance. I learned this the hard way. When we went to Granada, we couldn't get tickets to the Nasrid Palace, which is the highlight of the Alhambra, because we booked just a week before. Turns out it was already sold out months in advance. So please book early if it's something you don't want to miss. Now, don't just stick to sightseeing, add one or two wow experiences that make the trip unforgettable. For example, if you are in Interlaken, go for paragliding. In Cappadocia, it's the famous hot air balloon ride. These things might need waking up at 4 am, but trust me, it's worth it. And of course, let's talk about saving money. Look out for combo tours that let you see multiple attractions for a discounted price, or consider city passes like the Go City Pass that include transport and entry to dozens of places. They are especially useful in cities like London or Barcelona where individual entries can add up fast. Another trick, use affiliate codes or refer a friend discounts. Many platforms like Get Your Guide give first time users a small discount or referral credits you can use for future bookings. And here's a quick hack, weekday slots are usually cheaper than weekends. So if you're flexible, shift your museum or activity to a Monday or Wednesday instead of Saturday. You'll often find smaller crowds too. Booking these in advance also helps you structure your day better. You already know what time you need to be where, and the rest of the plan falls around it. Step 7. Final checks and pre-departure travel checklist. Alright, we have made all the plans and bookings. Now it's time for final checks before you travel. This step is super important to avoid any last minute panic or forgotten essentials. Think of it as your pre-departure checklist. Number 1. Travel insurance. Don't skip this one. Travel insurance should cover flight delays, lost luggage, theft, and medical emergencies. You may not need it, but if you do, you'll be glad it's there. Trusted providers include Visitors Coverage and Ekta, both easy to buy online. 2. SIM or eSIM setup. Avoid expensive roaming by setting up your SIM or eSIM before you land. Some of the best eSIM apps are Airalo, Nomad, and YesSIM. Super convenient and work in multiple countries. Alternatively, you can buy a local SIM at the airport or in the city. It's often cheaper but takes a bit more effort. 3. Organize your travel documents. Make a checklist and double check everything. This should include passport and visa, and check expiry dates. Visa confirmation print, hotel bookings, flight tickets, boarding pass, travel insurance, ID copies, cash and cards. Keep them in different bags for safety. Having both digital and physical copies can be a lifesaver. 4. Electronics. Don't forget phone, charger, travel adapter, especially for international trips. Power bank, headphones, camera, or tripod if you're into creating content. Universal charger if you're carrying multiple gadgets. 5. Medicines. Carry a small pouch of essential medicines, headache, cold, motion sickness, or any personal prescriptions. Finding the right medicine in the foreign country can be tricky. Lastly, toiletries. Keep it travel size and carry on friendly. And don't stress too much. I'm working on a detailed how to pack video, which I'll link in the description once it's live. Step 8. Manage your budget while traveling. Planning a trip is exciting, but managing your money while you are on the trip is just as important because no matter how well you planned, unexpected expenses can sneak in. So let's look at three key things: tracking expenses, how you pay, and where you can actually save. First up, tracking your spending. You don't need a spreadsheet, just use a good travel expense app. Travel Spend is my favorite. It works offline, lets you set daily budgets, and tracks expenses by category like food, transport, and shopping. And if you're traveling with friends, Splitwise makes splitting bills super easy. No awkward math debates at dinner. Now, how do you actually pay? Cash, card, or Forex card? Cash is essential for local transport, markets, or small cafes, but it's risky to carry too much and hard to track. Credit or debit cards are easy and trackable, but your bank might charge foreign transaction fees. The smart way is a Forex card from platforms like Wise. You get a locked exchange rate, no conversion fees, and it works like a regular card without surprise charges. And now let's talk about where you can save. Accommodation. Book places with a kitchen or breakfast included. Stay a little outside the tourist hub but near public transport. It can be quieter and cheaper. Transport. Use public transport over taxis. Buy city transport cards or multi-day passes. They save a lot if you're moving around a lot. For sightseeing, don't forget city passes like Go City or multi-attraction combo tickets. They look expensive up front but give access to museums, public transport and tours, so it adds up well. And of course, food. Buy fruits, snacks or drinks from supermarkets. Carry a few ready-to-eat packets or cook if you've got a kitchen. Saves money and gives you a break from eating out daily. For roaming and data, use local SIMs or international eSIMs like Airalo or Holafly instead of activating your home number abroad. It's significantly cheaper and more reliable. Also, shopping. Set a spending limit or shop towards the end of the trip when you already have seen the options and aren't impulse buying on day one. Small things like these add up. If you're careful across these categories, you'll come back with amazing memories and money in your account. So here's a quick summary of the full travel planning process. Choose your destination and set a budget. Get your visa and travel documents ready. Plan city clusters, not hour by hour itinerary. Build a realistic daily plan. Book your flights and accommodation. Reserve experiences and skip the queues. Run your pre-departure checks and manage your money wisely while traveling. I've uploaded detailed videos for each of these 8 steps with examples, tools, tips, and personal stories to help you plan like a pro. If this overview helped you even a little, like the video, hit subscribe and share with someone who's planning their next trip. I'm so happy to be your guide in making travel easier, smarter, and more fun. This is B signing off. See you in the next one.